Good morning, good people of a great nation. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the discussion segment of Development Focus with Jide Ojo on ITV, on This Morning on ITV. Today, I've been able to get a very, very important personality. You know, as we say it in local parlance, VVIP. A very, very important personality is already watching me, looking at me that who am I talking about? Well, I'm talking of no other person than the former minister of National Planning and Deputy Chairman of National Planning Commission, and currently the Director General of National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies. Is no other person than a renowned professor of political science, Professor Sulaiman Olarewaju Abubakar. You are welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Good morning.
It's a pleasure.
How's it been?
We thank God. We thank God. You are my first guest in the month of April, and it's a pleasure to host you on this show. Our viewers, this segment of our discussion will be looking at our strengthening of National Assembly for better service delivery. Strengthening of National Assembly for better service delivery. Prof, let me start. Tell us a bit more about yourself. Yes, I may know, but there could be other things I've missed that you think the public should know about your person.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I think just like you, I'm in Nigeria.
I know so.
I'm from Kwara State. I'm a teacher by profession. As you rightly pointed out, I was the Minister of National Planning under the last administration. And I'm currently the Director General of National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Study here from Kwara State. And just like you, I'm a public commentator, policy analyst, and we have passion for developing this country. You know, being part of the CSO some years back too, and we are still committed to that.
That's true.
I think, in summary, that is Sulaiman Abubakar, married with children.
Yeah, and you are a political heavyweight in Kwara. True or false? Looking at you, people will say, it's not by size, though, but, you know, I'm just wondering. I read a small piece about you, and this Professor Abubakar is a political heavyweight in Kwara. And I said, okay, I will ask you about that.
It still remains at level perception.
Okay, anyway, let's leave that. But it feels good to have watched your career trajectory from being an academic, delving into politics, and making a success of your political career, rising up to become a minister of the Federal Republic. That's an elite position that a lot of people will kill and maim to attain in life. And here you are, as if you are not had enough of public service. You have been drawn back shortly after your resumption back to University of Abuja to come and head a research of the National Assembly. Now, National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies has been in existence for 10 years, since 2011. What would you say has been the major contribution of that institute?
I think for us to appreciate the contribution of the institute to Nigerian political development, it is better for us to look at what Nigerian used to be under the military, especially the legislature. Where were we that time? You know, in Nigerian political terrain so far, or journey so far, the only organ of government that has that could not match with other organ of government is the legislature. We have faced a lot of military intervention. Our political experience or sojourn has been cut short by this incessant military intervention in politics.
29 years of military
intervention. And whenever they struck, the first casualty is the legislature. They allow the executive to, at least they stay behind. The judiciary is allowed to stay. But the only organ of government that they normally suspend, disband, is the legislature. And as such, the kind of experience, the kind of skill expected of the parliament over the years was not there. The kind of institutional memory expected of them was not there. Unlike what obtains in advanced democracy, where you have a senator that has spent 40 years in Congress. You don't see that in Nigeria. So, anytime democracy, returns, the needed requisite knowledge, expertise expected of parliamentarians on issue of debates, discourse, bill drafting, motions. These are specialized area that they must bring to bear in the course of parliamentary debates. It was not there over the years. So when democracy now returned back in 1999, precisely around 2000, 2001, they now thought of, okay, how do we, the gap that has been missing or that was not there for the parliament, how do we bridge that gap? This new set of parliament and the incoming set of parliament with their support staff, how do we build their capacity? Even in case anything happens again, how do we have a system in place? Something we can key onto in case anything happens. How do we train the parliaments? How do we train the parliamentarians? How do we beef up the capacity of their support staff? How will the legislature match with the executive in the areas of governance? I think there's need, therefore, for us to put in place a research-based institutions. And that was what led to the establishment of what we call policy and research, projects under national as the department that time.
Okay.
So by 2012, therefore, that PARP was now transmuted by an act of parliament into an institute, which was known as National Institute for Legislative Study that time. And the essence of the institute is just one: capacity building for the parliaments across 3 tiers of government.
So it's not all about national.
It's not just for national. It's National Institute.
Okay, National Institute.
National for the legislature at the center, for the subnational, and for the local government. So the essence, the objective, is to build the capacity, enhance their capacity, instill into them that knowledge, serve as a research base, such as resource base for national parliaments. Just as we have NGI.
Yes.
You talk of the
National Judicial.
You talk of the maybe ASCON.
Yeah. For public servants.
So this one is for the legislature.
Oh, okay.
To build the capacity, to enhance the skill, and what we do in that regard is not just only through the inductions process. It's not only in the aspect of training them, but in the aspect of trying to provide technical assistance to them, because it's a research institute. In the areas of bill drafting, they wouldn't have the time to do all this. They have other things doing in terms of committee works. They have other things to listen to and attend to. They have to attend to their constituents. They need to rely on policy that are product of research. Who does the research? Where is the think tank? Who conduct the research? Who conduct the survey? At the point of entry, which institute put them through in terms of training? The support staff, the clerks, who are the engine room of the parliament, how do we train and retrain them? You can't subject them to the executive. You can't subject them to the universities. This institute is therefore geared towards achieving that. enhancing the capacity of the third organ of government, which is the Nigerian legislature, across national, subnational, and local governments. And that's what we've been doing.
Now, yes, in 2017, the Act of NILS was amended to now encompass democratic studies. So walk us through what that added value, what value addition it brought to the institute. Because we used to have Center for Democratic Studies in Jos, I think, some years back. So is it now taking over the job of CDS as at that time, and now merging it with the work of building legislative capacity?
You see, the founding father of the institute that see the institute as the capacity building for the legislature, they did a fantastic job. That is enhancing the capacity, building capacities, research base for legislature as a whole harm. But the point now, if you are talking about just the parliamentarians, the support staff, that is to say, you wait at the point of the entry. You wait at the point they come into the legislature. What do we do before that stage? Can't we build the capacity of the critical stakeholders right from the base before they even talk about, aspiring for a position? Under the military, precisely under the Babangida regime, we have the Omo Omori Center for Democratic Study, which did a fantastic job. You can say anything about the June 12th. You can say anything about Babangida government. When it comes to nurturing democratic ethics, mobilizing Nigerians for civil, governance, that government did a fantastic job through that institute. But since that time, we did not have any similar organ of government or structure that could play that role. And don't forget, in theoretical political balance, the survival of any political system is not hanging on the formal structure within the system. The survival of any political system is hanging both on the formal and informal structure. When the formal structure, the executive perform their function, the legislature, the judiciary, what happened to CSO, political parties? What happened to the electorate? How do we sensitize those people outside the environment? How do you mobilize them? How do you educate them? Must we wait till the election comes before we start telling people how to register, who to register for? How do we deepen the political culture in our people? So that city did perform that role that time. But since that structure was disbanded, there wasn't anything like that again. NOA could not perform that functions, or MAMSA, they couldn't do that function. So they now thought, okay, we shouldn't wait at the point of entry before you now start talking about building the capacity. What do we do at the level of political recruitment? How do we sensitize Nigerian electorates? How do we deepen internal democracy? How do we build the capacity of political parties? What's the nexus between political parties and the people, the electorate? Which institute must perform that function? I said, okay, look, I think the best thing is NILS, as per legislative justice, has the capacity. So let us now match the democratic components to the institute. So it's not just for the legislature now, but enhancing the capacity of both the legislature and the entire critical stakeholder in democracy. How do we build political cultures of Nigerian people in a way that in the course of electioneering or in the course of election, they go for the right candidate, so that we don't just have characters that do not have the know-how, doesn't have the stuff in parliament. We must build the capacity of the electorate too, so that in their perceptions of who to vote for, they don't make a wrong choice. And that is why we have been saddled with the responsibility since 2017 now to now combine the democratic aspect of educating Nigerians with our mandate.
Okay, Prof. Walk us through the structure of news. How many departments? What are those things you do? I know you are also certificate awarding institute. You offer, is it postgraduate, whatever. Let me allow you to walk us through the entire structure and gamut of what you do.
Before, when it was National Institute for Legislative Study, that time we had about 3 major departments. We have the Department of Legislative Support Services. We have that of Administration and Finance. We have that of what you call research departments. But when the democratic component was merged with it, another department that came up in 2018, which was known as Department of Democratic Studies. Now, those are the 4 departments we had until I came on board as the new DG in 2019. When I came on board as a DG, I looked at it and said, they have been doing a wonderful job. The place looked very small in terms of size, in terms of space, in terms of manpower. But they are doing the volumes of work they are doing, their outputs is so much that for easy administration and for things to work the way it should work as an institute, there's need for expansion. And as such, I initiated a process to the Governing Council of the Institute, headed by the Senate President and the alternate chairman of the Speaker. And to the glory of God, from 4 departments, we now had 9 departments.
Wow.
We now have 9 departments. And the new department added to it now is, we now have a department on its own for training. We now have a department on its own for audit. Just, a whole department. Now, before we talk about research, now that research is now turned into what we call economic and social studies as a department. Then we have, instead of finance and admin that was merged, we now have Department of Administration and Human Resource. In other words, we have added 4 or 5 departments to initial departments, making it 9. And these departments, we now have library as a department.
Okay.
Yeah. Before it was, library was under research, it's now a library on its own. Because we have a permanent that we are moving into. And the permanent site, about 3 components structures were there. The major one is the library, about 4-story building.
Wow. Where is your permanent site?
It's along Lugbe.
Okay.
After the city gate, as you're moving out of Abuja, before the ShopRite, you see it by the right hand side.
Wow.
So we can have such an edifice, a big library with a lot of resources in terms of, literatures, e-library base, with the space, and you subsume it under research. So the Governing Council approved of that, and we now have an institute librarian on its own. So now, these are the 9 departments we have in the institute. And each department is saddled with a mandate. Training, purely for training. That of research is just for research, which you call economic and social studies on social-related area, economic-related area, on bill draftings, on budgeting, scrutiny, or what have you. That of electricity support services was purely for bill drafting, for motion drafting, in supporting of the legislative parliamentarians. That of admin and human resource take care of the manpower of the institute. The libraries. So we have all these structures in place to make things work. And since that time, the institute has blossomed, the activity has increased, has doubled, and lot of activities are going on. Now, the point I'm making now is this. Now, you can talk of NILS as you talk of ASCON, as you talk of NIPS, in fact, as you talk of NGI. That today, we're not just an institute charged with enhancing the capacity of the parliamentarians. Before now, it has been parliament at the national level. And you can bear me witness. It has been just focusing on the parliamentarians, the support staff at the national level. But for the past 2 years, we have permeated down to the subnational level. In fact, I want to let you know that in terms of training, we do more for subnationals. Because the subnational parliaments, they are the ones that are elevated to the center.
Yeah, it's like a recruitment ground.
So if they are well nurtured, if they are well trained, if they are well skilled, you have less problem at the center. Most of the speakers from the states, they end up in House of Rep, they end up in Senate. Most of members there, even the local government chairman, they end up there. So if we concentrate on the center alone, without focusing on the subnational, we'll be achieving nothing. And that is why in the last 2 years, it has been on weekly basis or monthly basis that we have either training for them here in Abuja, or we go down to the local government or to the states for training. And we have been doing this in partnership with a lot of NGOs. We handle our own. Some of these trainings could be demand driven, could be supply driven. When it's demand driven, it's at the request of the states, the legislature at the state level. Tell us your areas of needs. We look into it, put up our personnel in place, we get them trained. The training could take place in their states, or they might decide to come to Abuja. We have been very, very busy. And I want to look at the quality. You asked a question the other time, which I think I missed to answer. Whatever anybody will say about Nigerian democracy in the last 21 years, since return back to democracy in 1999, whatever the achievement, the accomplishments, either in the areas of the qualities of the debates, in the areas of the quality of policy, in the areas of the quality of legislation, mentioned anything, one of the credits to them will go to our institute. Because we do the bill drafting, we do the motion drafting, we provide all this intellectual base for them to move. So you cannot talk about the success, achievements of the legislature in the last 21 years without defining to NILS. Because either we like it or not, there could be issues, there could be debates, there could be rancors, but less of violence. You look at the quality of debates, even look at the leadership recruitment within the National Assembly in terms of changes from one principal officer to the other, it has been rancor-free to a large extent. So it also goes to the kind of capacity, the kind of culture nurturing that we have been doing vis-a-vis all these critical stakeholders in the legislature. I think by and large, the essence of putting in place the institute has been realized.
Now, the aspects of certification, is it postgraduate or?
Oh, so yes. Besides the other mandates of the institute, we had what we call the postgraduate studies.
Okay.
We run postgraduate studies, and we do this in collaborations, in affiliation rather, with University of Benin.
Okay.
we ran about 7 master's programs.
Wow, 7
masters in parliamentary study, master in party politics, master in reporting, 7 master program. And when you finish within 2 years or 18 months of your study, you are awarded a certificate. And with that certificate, you can go for a PhD anywhere in the world. So we're not just talking about this partial or short courses or training for the legislature. Even the upcoming, how do we build resource persons that are specialized in the areas of parliamentary study? University runs so many programs, but you could also see university that runs specialized programs like what we do now. And that's what we are doing. Let us build the capacity by building people, personnel, intellectuals that will be there to support, that specialize in the areas of parliamentary study, and thereby supporting the legislature or supporting, democracy as an institution. And that is why we put in place that programs, the advanced master's program, so that you can have your MSc in parliamentary study, you can have your MSc in legislative study, you can have your MSc on party politics, and you can go further to have PhD. When you are trained around that area, you become a specialist. And, thereby you can now be a specialist, impart such knowledge on the parliamentarian. You could be, Jide Ojo is, when it comes to this aspect, you can discuss issue on parliamentary study across the globe. So we don't need to go to Harvard or Oxford or LSE to bring in scholars or send them there for training. When we build our own intellectuals around these areas, then we are building democracy as an institution.
So you run master's program. What of diplomas?
We run HND program.
Okay.
In legislative reporting.
Okay. Now, what kind of partnership exists between you and the Independent National Electoral Commission? Do you have any partnership?
Yeah, as I said, one of the mandates of the institute is to deepen democracy. And essentially, in deepening democracy, we need to look at our political culture. At times, I pity INEC when at any point in time we are set for election. You see them running helter-skelter from poll to poll. You see the Department of Civic, what do you call it?
VEP.
Yes. Trying to educate Nigeria, go and do this. You don't need that. In a civilized environment, people should know their responsibility. They should know their rights. And that is why we believe that in actualizing our mandate of deepening democratic ethics, we need to work closely with INEC. One, how do we build internal democracy? Most of the problem we have been having when it comes to post-election matters has to do with internal democracy, has to do with the way aspirants or candidates were chosen or elected within political parties. So that at the end of the day today we have elected people that were elected not through the ballot box, but through the instrumentality of judiciary, which does not in some cases.
Democracy by court order.
Yes, reflect the true wish of the people. We can only stop that by going into the parties, political parties themselves, and build their capacity. Let them know why certain thing must be done in a certain way, why they must play by the rules of the game. So in these aspects, one, we have been working with INEC in these areas. Don't wait till you say, go into what the parties are doing. Yes, you may say it go beyond your terrains or your mandate, but we can work together into getting this realized as a colleagues in democracy. That's number one. Number two, for the past, since since 2019, that's the major last election, we have been monitoring and observing elections. We observed 2019 elections. We wrote our report, just the normal thing for other observers as one of the domestic observers. Not just a domestic observer, but I think we are the major domestic, governmental observers that observe the election. The by-election, the other elections, the Ondo election, the Edo election, the Bayelsa election, and the Ekiti election, we were part of. All the elections after 2019 that has been taking place, we have been observing, and we have been putting our reports to INEC. And let me say this. Yes, people want to say, as a governmental organization or institution, you cannot have an independent opinion that will be different from what government want to hear or want you to write. But I want to let you know that we have been very critical of most of these elections as per what we observe that went wrong and what we believe should be done rightly. It's not for us to condemn in entirety that the election has not been well conducted. But in any case, since 2019, I think there have been relative, peace and fairness in the. So the point I'm making is that we have been working closely with INEC. One, in the areas of different internal democracy, and secondly, in the areas of observing and monitoring the various election and putting before the INEC chairman what we believe should be done rightly.
Okay, Prof. Perhaps you are aware that NIPS, National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, also have a department of political party leadership and development center, PPLPDC, which is building capacity of political parties. Is there any interface or interaction that you have established with NIPS on this count?
Yes, the last year before COVID pandemic, there was a meeting of all these agencies that had almost share common mandates.
Okay.
I think it was at the instance of the late DG of NIPS.
Okay, Professor
Abu Galadima.
Okay.
We had the first meeting. We had the second meeting on how to synergize, how to work together.
Yeah.
And see the areas of collaborations and the areas we can improve on the capacity of the various agencies, because we believe we share the same mandate, almost the same mandate. It might be, the style might be different. So that was what we commenced, and we have been in touch with one another, especially at the level of chief executive. A technical committee it was put in place, to be relating and see where we can, how we can, interface, how we can assist ourselves in one way or the other, the areas of convergence, and now we can pull resources together to achieve certain things within the groups. I think we have started that since last year, and I hope ultimately with this COVID pandemic exiting, I think we'll be able to achieve quite a lot.
Okay. Now, let's come back to the nagging issue of legislative autonomy. In 2011, the National Assembly, after the amendment of the Constitution that was carried out in 2010, became autonomous, through the Financial Autonomy Amendment, and so the funding of the National Assembly is on first line charter on the Consolidated Revenue Fund. And in 2018, a similar attempt was made by the current President Muhammadu Buhari, to amend the Constitution through the Parliament, National and State Assembly, to give financial autonomy to state judiciary and state legislature. Right now, as we speak, just yesterday, the Judiciary Staff Union, JSU, commenced strike over issue of lack of financial autonomy for state judiciary. Earlier, a couple of weeks back, PASAN, that's the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, also embarked on strike. What do you think has been the major challenge in implementing that constitutional amendment, which on top of it will still have executive order 10 that is meant to help with the financial autonomy of state legislature? What do you see as the major challenge with the implementation of that constitutional provision?
The major challenge is known to you as is known to me. The kind of democracy we practice is one democracy that tilts toward the executive, that gives more power to the executive, that, with due respect, make nonsense of the legislature, and even to a large extent too the judiciary. Is one democracy that gives more preponderance to the executive than other organs of government. And I keep on asking this question. You see, as long as the executive, the president, the governor, hold sway, especially in certain areas of governance, for instance, the areas of security agencies, the areas of pulse, we shall be having problems as a democracy. There cannot be good governance when one organ of government is holding hostage another organ of government. When one organ of government is at the mercy of another organ of government. When your life span, how you breathe, what you eat, is largely being determined by one organ of government. When that happens, we are partially operating, something that is close to military again. The autonomy, financial autonomy for the judiciary, for the legislature, is for the good of democracy. It's for the good of good governance. It's for the good of everybody. And what is it? What are we saying? It's a constitutional matter. And the president who has given his own backing in terms of statutory backing now through the order 10, executive order 10. But even at then, people ignore the president on that. But I just believe did not ignore the president. If the president is willing and ready to sustain that order and get that order implemented, nobody can ignore Mr. President.
So what do you think is the way forward?
So the political will necessary for the implementation of that self-autonomy or financial autonomy is not yet there. The governors are the major impediments. Almost all the governors. Yes, some few states in the areas of financial authority for the legislature, maybe like Delta states, they are trying.
And Lagos.
Maybe and Lagos to cede, to allow such it to happen. But we are talking about 2-3 states out of 36 states. We have a speaker, for instance, that doesn't have official vehicle in this country.
Wow.
And you want him to make law for the good of the people of that state?
But Prof, you don't. Let me just pause you. You know what puzzles me about this intransigence of the governor is that when you look at the 36 state governors as we currently have them, almost half of them, about 18, had previously been in legislative assembly, whether at the state level or at the federal level. Some started as councillors, some started as state house of assembly, honorary member of state house of assembly. Some are speakers of state house of assembly. Some were moved from senate to go and become governor. Some moved from house of reps to go and become governor. What changed? What changed that those who were themselves product of the parliament will acquire executive power and will not be in support of autonomy for an arm of government for which where they cut their political teeth?
You see that seat, the seats of power in the executive, that executive seat, there's one spirit there. Once you sit there, you become a new Ojo, Jide Ojo.
Interesting.
I'm telling you. You see, when they are in the parliament, it's just first among equal. But when you are the executive governor,
you are number one.
You are number one.
Because in Senate, you are 1 out of 109.
Yes.
In House of Reps, you are 1 out of 360.
Yes.
In the states, maybe 1 out of 24 or 1 out of 4.
When you are the governor, you sit on billions. You call the police commissioner. You call the C. You call this. That executive power is not comparable to parliamentary, call it parliamentary powers over. But there's no power in parliament anyway. That's the truth.
Because I wonder, we have 2 former speakers of House of Reps as current governor, Sokoto and Katsina.
You are going too far. Plateau State
was
the immediate past, speaker
of the Conference of Nigerian Speakers.
So, nothing has changed. So that is why I say the kind of democracy we practice is one that tilted towards giving much power to the executive. And as such, except through the intervention or the ministry of God into them, once they sit down there, they become a changed person. Even when you have a governor, we do respect to some of them as friends before he became governor. Once he becomes governor, he's a governor, he sit down there, you call him, Jide, you don't even pick your call. So, the point I'm making now is that we have not gotten to where we are going. I support the Jesu, I support the Passan. And I want to believe that CSO2 will wake up. Because we cannot be talking about good governance at the center. When we lack good governance at the state level, at local government level, we are running a system where local government is being subsumed under the state. Before, local government used to be the most viral, tier in terms of executing projects at the grassroots.
I went to a school, a primary school established by local government, and same with you.
Yes. Here we are now. We don't have starting again. So I think you see, when people keep on shouting the center, we are not talking about the governance at the state level. A lot of resources are going to the states. A lot of power are conferred on the state governors. A lot of opportunities are there at the states. How are they utilizing it?
So, Prof, let me pick your brain on issue of devolution of power and restructuring. If the powers of governors and the state assembly is limited to concurrent legislative list, and we are asking for devolution of power, and the one they have now, they are already abusing it, do you think it makes sense, logical sense, to devolve power to the state, given the authoritarian nature that we are seeing currently with the crops of Nigerian governors that we have?
I tend to disagree or differ on the issue of devolution of power. Devolution of power can only come through, you have to look at certain variables before you devolve power to the state level, especially in this country. You have said it all. The one they were giving, they are abusing it. When people talk about state police, I just laugh. They gave them just one power now, and that's the power of conducting local government election.
And
tell me one state governor since 1999 that has conducted local government election fairly and judiciously. It's winner takes all syndrome. They will not even allow the opposition in that state to have just one local government
or councillor.
And such people want to give them power to control the police. I'm a supporter of devolution of power. I want federal character. I mean, I want federalism to thrive, but not under this circumstance we are operating in this country.
Okay, we'll come to the checks and balances. We have very limited period before we exit this program. Please, if you are watching us and you want to join this discussion, either to comment or to ask questions from our August guest, Professor Sulaiman Olariwaju Abubakar, you can call in on 080-998-71989. That is the number on your screen. 080-998-71989. Somebody we just lost a call. Please keep your calls coming. You have very limited time. The number again is 080. Excuse me. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah. Good morning.
Yes. Tell us your name and where you are calling from. You said? Your name is what?
It's calling from Papi.
Lazarus Wachuku.
Yes.
Okay, what's your question or comment to Prof?
Yes. What I want to conclude here is that the system of operation, whether judiciary, whether executive, or whether the legislators, are the same thing in this country. And all of us are guilty of our own woes. We should try to make a very beautiful way of noting the way. What we are doing in this country is not that everybody's on his own, and that has come where within the context of democracy in this country.
Thank you, Lazarus. Thank you very much for your comment. You can keep your calls coming. The number once again is 0809871989. It's on your screen. You can join this conversation now. So, Prof, what is the way forward? We can't continue to run a quasi-federalism as we currently run in the anticipation that this arrogance of the governor or the executive recklessness, as some other people have referred to it, will just fizzle away. What are the mechanisms that can be used to checkmate the excesses of the governor so that they can allow democracy to thrive?
You see, some of these changes can be effected through constitutional amendments. Why I believe we need to review the Constitution, amend certain aspects of the constitutions to allow certain things to happen. But again, we have been saying this, that our problem is not even the constitutions, but the operator of the constitutions. Then, if the operators are the problem, I don't pray for the soldier to stage a comeback. We don't pray for the military. But politicians should realize that keeping the military at bay is not automatic. It's contingent on their conduct.
Sorry, sir. We have another caller. Hello? Hello? Yeah, tell us your name and where you are calling from and move away from your TV set.
Yes, this is Abdullah from Abuja.
Okay, Abdullah what? From Katampe?
Yes, Abdullah from Katampe. I just want to appreciate the man that the professor.
Okay.
Just want to appreciate the professor. My six man, I really appreciate the professor because everybody, professor, long life and prosperity. That's what I want to say.
Thank you for your prayers. Prof has said amen to that. Okay. Thank you very much for calling in. The number is there on your screen, 0809 987 1989. You have 3 minutes left. If you want to call in, please make it snappy. We have another caller. Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's the name and where are you calling from?
Once again, this is Jesus of Wachuku.
Okay, Wachuku.
Yeah. Now, when you look at the issue of what you want, Nigerians have been fighting corruption. And with the way corruption is established in this country, I don't think there's anything Nigeria can achieve until we address the issue of corruption and the issue of patriotism and the right to family well-being.
Okay. It's all right. That is noted. Thank you very much for your call. You can keep your call coming. Yes, we have another one, Prof. Sorry. Hello? Hello? Oh, we missed that call. So, I will allow you go without telling us highlights or high points of your service to the nation as a minister of the Federal Republic. What changed for you from an academic politician down to that pinnacle of being a minister of the Federal Republic? What was the high point for you, Prof?
The high points, I don't know in terms of what, because the only thing I know is that it's one thing to be a theoretician. You see, when we're in the university as a lecturer, we have a limited perspective on issues. That's just the truth. You see, theory is far, far different from practice. You understand? Our word outlook, will not be appreciated until you go out there and see things yourself. So when I was a teacher, I was a lecturer in the university. Yeah, we did a lot of theorizing. We did a lot of study.
Sorry, okay, go on.
We did a lot of study. We imparted a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
But when I went out there as Minister of Federal Republic and I saw the reality.
Hello, last caller for today. Yes, very briefly, 30 seconds. Move away from your TV set, please.
Hello?
Yes, tell us your name and where you are calling from and move away from your TV set.
My name is, I'm calling from Lightcom.
Your name is what?
Danny.
Danny. Okay. What's your comment or question? 30 seconds, please. Oh, sorry. I think we lost that call. Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Tell us your name and where you are calling from.
My name is Prince Adewale Ezekiel from Maidawa.
Okay. What do you want to ask, Prof?
All our politicians to sign their agenda manifesto into law before they run.
How do you mean?
The next position you want to go for, they should sign their primary agenda manifesto constitution into law before they run, so that promise and keep will be made. No promise made, otherwise you can't tackle them. There's no how you will tackle them.
Okay. Thank you for that suggestion. We'll see how feasible. Promise and keep. Thank you very much. That's the
promise and keep, not promise and faith.
Okay.
Tackle them from the foundation.
Okay.
The party constitution, who's the PCF, anybody that wants to run, you should go down in the name of sign your agenda into law before you run.
How many laws are we going to have by that? Anyway, thank you very much for your call. That's the much we can take from you, and that's the size of what we can take from our call. Prof, your closing thoughts.
So there's a wide gap between theories and practice.
Okay.
And it's always good if our system allow academics, to partake, in what goes on in the real political system, in the practical political system. So there must be that synergy between the academics and the practitioners and outside there. So there must be it will deepen the quality of our policies and legislation. I think that's something that I've learned so much, and I want to impress it on our people, to take as a policy.
Thank you very much, Professor Abubakar Olanrewaju Sulaiman, administrator, professor, academic, Minister of the Federal Republic in the immediate past administration of President Goodluck Jonathan, now the Director General of National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies. I do hope that when I call you some other time, you will oblige us, because we have not exhausted what we need to discuss. There's a lot more. I want to talk about your synergy with the donor community and all of that. So, but we thank you very much. Yes. Anyway, that is off record. Off record. Thank you very much, Prof. And I wish you all the best in your tenure as DG of NIS. Wish you all the best. Stay safe and stay blessed.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
So, dear watchers and dear viewers, please stay tuned. We have another discussion segment coming up almost immediately after this timeout.